Hello everybody, how's it going? My name is McDude. Welcome to the second episode of the Blitzkrieg 2 map editor tutorial. In this tutorial, I want to talk about reinforcements, but I also have to talk about a few other things before we get there, such as link IDs and key buildings. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and open our editor. And we will make a new map. And I have some of this set up already, so you can set it up however you like. Okay, so we've got our map. So we're going to first talk about link IDs. I'll put timestamps in the description so you know what I'm going to be talking about throughout the video. So link IDs. The basics behind link IDs are just to say, hey, I'm over here if you need me for anything. So there are two different kinds of examples that I want to demonstrate here for you. So let's go to our objects. Let's say that I want to tow some artillery piece. Well, let's go to my artillery and we'll pick something to tow. Let's go ahead and spawn in the Nebelwerfer artillery piece. All right, and I think I'll tow it using, let's just use the heavy hauler, why not? So because there are two ways that you can link objects together, I'm going to also come up with another system. So what if we want to go ahead and put infantry in some kind of building? Well, we can do that easily. So just find some kind of building that you want to put them in. I'm going to put, we'll do a pillbox for now, just something simple. Okay, and I'll also spawn in some infantry that will be able to go into the pillbox. Okay. So, in order to do the linking, we have the two ways that I will describe now. The first way is think about what you're planning on linking an object to. In this case, because I want to tow my artillery, I want to link it to the truck. So what I want to do is find the truck's link ID. So I'm going to select my truck, click on the glasses, and then if you see under the link folder, you should see the link ID of the object and if it is linked with anything. So when link with is set to -1, that means it's not linked to anything. The building, the unit, completely independent with what's going on. So because I want to put my artillery on the truck, I'm going to select my artillery. I'm going to go to the unit properties and set link width to 2. So, and if you have done it correctly, you should see that there is a line being drawn to the truck. You can still move this object around freely if you ever have a case where you need to say, okay, I just want to move this somewhere else temporarily. If you want to move the truck, it's actually going to select it and the artillery piece. So you're essentially treating the truck as a child. The artillery is what's known as the parent. If you want to get rid of the link ID so you can just move one thing around and then put it back later, just set the link with ID just to -1, and then the line will not be drawn anymore. So method 2 for linking, I'm going to be doing with infantry. So the way to do this is just kind of like select them and drag it around. Now hold the left shift button at the same time. Hover your mouse over where it's possible to link something to. If you see an arrow that points upward, then that means you will be able to link it to that object. So once you're ready to link it, release the left mouse button and release the left shift button. And once again, we have a line being drawn to our pillbox. Perfect. So now I am going to quickly set up a key building. So let's go ahead and get some random buildings. So let's go ahead and do, here's a tent, why not? So this tent is going to be my key building that I am going to use. Because we want to capture it, I'm going to set the player ID to 1 when I spawn objects in. I'm also going to head to the tent's properties real quick and set the player to 1. Okay. So next, we also need to get a flag. So because the USSR is going to be using the tent as the key building, I'm going to get the USSR flag. And I recommend that you put the flag as close-ish to the key point as much as possible. That way you can really indicate that, okay, this is the key building I'm capturing. And then what you need to do, you also need to link the specific building to the flag. So the building has something to do with the flag. So I'm going to go to our flag and get the ID for it. In this case, it's 6. So I'm going to go back to our tent and set the link width to 6. Said and done. Okay. Now, I want to go ahead and make a reinforcement point. Reinforcement points are the points where you're able to call reinforcements. It's pretty simple when you think about it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a reinforcement point just for myself. I'm not going to have anyone else call any reinforcements for any particular reason. So I'm going to go ahead and just press add. So you should see the ID pop up on the left side right here. And you can also choose a type of template that you can use in order to spawn the units in. So I like to just use a deploy template and just use the common deploy template. And click OK. So once you have spawned in your reinforcement point, you can see that we have another one of our circles when it comes to selecting a unit. So we can drag it around. But there's also this one here. So to describe how reinforcement points work here, the circle in the center is the position that the units will spawn in. This dial here is the angle that they will spawn. And this one here is actually the area where aircraft will spawn in. This is a very important one because if you have like a coast somewhere on the edge of the map where you wouldn't be able to have like any units like actually go to the area to capture it because it's all a body of water, you can use this to designate a certain point just kind of around the outside of the map where you want your aircraft to spawn in. So in my case, I'm just going to go ahead and put that right here. I want you to keep in mind as well, if you put it too far outside of the map, then you may have a problem with trying to grab it later if you want to modify the reinforcement point for any particular reason. Okay, so that is part of the key building. So I let the enemy have their key building. And then I have my own reinforcement point right here. So now what I'm just going to quickly go ahead and put something down so the USSR have something to defend it with. So let's say a single unit. We'll do like just a sniper. Why not? And I will use the one link ID method that I used earlier with the infantry. I'm going to drag him onto the tent, release, and then I'm just going to drag him back out. Because if a key building is currently being defended by the enemy, then it's going to be hard to capture it. So without further ado, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the missions properties, and I can go ahead and check out player ID 0, which will be us. You can see that reinforcement points here, which is what we spawned in under the gameplay tab earlier. Its ID is set to 0, and it was given to us. So, and it's going to just explain a few things. Is default. If you have is default set to false, then that means you need a key building in order to call your reinforcements. If you have it set to true, then you'll be able to call the reinforcements by default. It doesn't matter. Reinforcement types. I'll get to that soon. Reinforcement calls. If this is your first time learning about reinforcements, just set this to 99. Basically the most applicable, acceptable number. I should also mention recycle time coefficient. This is a multiplier for if you call a reinforcement, it takes a certain amount of time for them to arrive. Well, by that I mean because they arrive, there's the cooldown, and then you could call them again. So with recycle time coefficient, you can choose to make the delay longer, or you can make it shorter. So for my situation, I want to go ahead and set the recycle time coefficient to 0.01. So the lower the number, the quicker. The higher the number, the longer. Now, in order to use this point, we need to link it via the bonus objects right here, player bonus objects. So I can right click and click on add, and this should pop up here. Now, the link ID that's specified here, we need to actually find the building ID for this. The flag is just there to indicate. The building is what matters most. So what I'm going to do is let's go back to objects. I'm going to select the tent. I'm going to get the properties for the tent. Oop, looks like my sniper's kind of in the way. So let's change his link width to, oh, I see. It was set to 5. So our tent is actually 5. So let's go back to our link ID, which is 5. And then the point ID is the reinforcement point ID that will be available to the player. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Let's test it out, see if it works. So let's enter Blitzkrieg 2. So we have this map here. All right, so with the link ID, the artillery is successfully hitched to the truck, and my infantry are in the key building. So I'm going to unload my infantry.
Ihre Befehle?
And I'm just going to put the rocket artillery about here.
Verstanden. Rollen los.
So as you can see, also we have our 99 calls we're able to make. Just as a side note as well, when it comes to key buildings, they can never be destroyed. They will always, at minimum, have 1 hit point. So let's go to our
Ist
infantry.
plötzlich der Frieden Kommandant spricht.
So I want to go ahead and capture that building, our tent. Slowly make their way through the snow. And they know the sniper's in there. So the sniper is preventing the capture, but not anymore. So because there are no enemy units near this key
Alles
building,
ruhig hier.
that means that we're absolutely good to capture it. So the link ID for hitching the artillery worked
Pack hier.
just
Bereit.
fine.
Kein Problem. Transporteinheit bereit.
And then we were able to go ahead and have our infantry sit in our pillbox. Perfect start. Okay, so let's head back to the editor real quick. And now we can go ahead and talk about doing reinforcements. So there are many different ways that you're able to set up reinforcements. So to make a reinforcement, go to Reinforcement Types, right-click, and click on Add. So in here, it's going to ask you to put in an ID of some kind of reinforcement, but I'm going to go ahead and make a new one. So let's go ahead and do an infantry squad here. So I'm going to go to edit it. And so it automatically is set up and selected for us. So what I'm going to do here is the type I want to set to, let's say, assault infantry for this one. So the icon texture, if you don't have it available to you to see, go to Scene, Text and Mats, Game, Mission, Reinforcement, Type, and then you'll see all of it here. So because I'm using Assault Infantry, I'm going to just put the Assault Inf texture here. And then the entries part is where you're able to spawn in your units. So I'm going to add a couple more entries to this list. So in order to spawn infantry in, we need to use the squad tab here. So right here, go ahead and click on the 3 dots. And you can go ahead and find whatever you want to use for your squad. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll do German Squad Assault 5. So the higher the number usually here, then the more later it's going to be. So I'm going to go there and press OK. And it will have it selected for us. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with the rest of these. Okay. So my next one I want to do is I'm going to do a tank of some kind. So let's go ahead and T2. Let's do a tank destroyer. Press OK. Open it up. So I want to do tank destroyers. I'll find the photo for it. And then TD texture. Okay. Now we use mech unit for the TD. So I'm also going to add a couple other sections here too. So what I'm going to find here is a tank destroyer. So we're going to check out SPGs. And we'll do the Jagdpanther. So we'll put in a few Jagdpanthers. Or actually, let's just put 2 in. And then we'll put a different tank destroyer in. So let's go ahead and put in... Let's put in a Hetzer. So once I have that, press OK. And I'm going to save it again. Now, because you saw that I ended up putting in the Jagdpanthers and then the Hetzer, the entry, like the first most entries that appear, they will be on the left side every time you click on them. So it'll list those first, then the next, third, fourth, and then however many other entries you have. So now I'm going to do a couple more here. So the next one I want to do is going to talk about hauling artillery. So let's go ahead and do field artillery. So I'm going to go ... I'm going to set this as artillery anti-tank. I know field artillery and artillery are different, but that's just what I'm just going to use the anti-tank one for now. All right, so this one is where the link index and link width will be important. So I'm going to add 3 entries here. So all of these will be mech units. So you know how earlier when we were doing the whole linking the artillery to the truck, we had to look at the link IDs? That's exactly what we're doing here. We're doing the exact same thing. So let's go ahead and check out what kind of anti-tank gun I want to use. Let's go ahead and use the Pack 38. Why not? So I'll put another one in, and then I need something to tow it. So let's go ahead and we will get a truck. So let's go ahead and I'll do the Opel Blitz resupply truck. And now we're good. So now we need to make our link IDs. So I'm going to make a link ID of 10 and 11 on my artillery. And then I'm just going to do 20 and 21 for my trucks. So the artillery, the first one, I want it linked with a truck with the 20, so I'm going to put 20 here. And then with this artillery, I'm going to set it to 21, so it's being hitched to the other truck. I'm going to press OK. Now, one more type of reinforcement that I want to bring up are the paratroopers. They're fairly similar, actually, to how we ended up putting in the infantry into the buildings. So let's go ahead and we will put in our paratrooper reinforcement. So let's go here. So I'm going to set it as elite infantry. And I'll find the icon again. Paratroopers. So I'm going to find the squad that I want to use. So I'm going to get Elite Squad. So I'll just do German Elite 5. We'll do a few more entries here. Let's go ahead and add more of these squads here. And then the mech unit, which I want to spawn in, is going to be the plane. So I want to use the JU-52 transport plane. Now we need to go ahead and give everyone a link index once again. So I'm going to go ahead and put my plane as 20, put you as 10, put this squad as 11, put this as 12, and I'm going to put the link width on these all to 20, my plane. Press OK and save. Now I'm going to just make one more reinforcement type, because part of this is already going to be covered because we're spawning in a plane, but I want to make something new. So let's do planes. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Let's go ahead and do ground attacks. So I will go ahead and find my gaps, my plane ground attack. So I'm going to add a couple entries, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the JU-87s. And that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and save. So once we capture this tent, we will have the ability to call reinforcements from our point that is on the map. So let's open Blitzkrieg 2. And let's begin. So we got our key building. We have our hitched rocket artillery and our infantry that are in the pillbox.
Kein Problem. Transporteinheit bereit.
And I'm just going to put you
Sie
right
sind
there.
der Boss. Infanterie, wir hören.
Yeah, I'll set them to assault again. And I'm going to go and get them to capture the key building that I set up.
Meine Güte, ist das öde.
So it looks like the sniper's been spotted. Pretty quiet, doesn't seem like he wants to do anything here. Funny how that can work sometimes. Okay, he's gone. Okay, now you can see right here we have our reinforcements available to call. So we've got our assault infantry here, and you can see it will tell you what it will be calling in, and you can click on it to preview it. Same thing for the tanks, and as you can see, yep, we have our Jagdpanther first, and then click back,
Uns wird langsam langweilig.
and we also have our Hetzer. So let's start calling some units in. So I have my infantry. So that also consumes one of my calls. Now I'm going to go ahead and call in tank destroyers.
Jagdpanzer einsatzbereit.
So far they've all been spawning at the reinforcement point that I've set up on the map. So now I'm going to spawn in the anti-tank artillery.
Panzerabwehr meldet sich zur Stelle.
And as you can see, they were linked to the trucks successfully.
Alles ruhig hier.
Okay, so let's go ahead and spawn in some elite infantry. Let's go ahead and summon a plane. So I'm going to go ahead, get the paratroopers. I'm just going to take them just to this side of the map that we started on.
Scharfschütze einsatzbereit.
Now I can hear the plane. Oh, there it is. So, and as you can see, there are 3 elite squads that are currently on the plane.
Die Ladung ist raus. Die Ladung ist raus. Wir haben unsere Arbeit erledigt.
And they'll drop. And yet, as you were able to see, they spawned in the corner, as I put for that other circle.
Ist plötzlich der Frieden ausgebrochen oder was?
And the Ju-87s will do the exact same thing. Perfect. So, we were able to successfully call in reinforcements after we captured a key building. Okay, so that is going to be it for this tutorial. So we went over link IDs, how to tow artillery and infantry, and put this sniper in a tent. We went over setting up a key building and the reinforcement point respective to it. And we also covered creating your own reinforcement types and how they spawn in. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this guide helpful, please leave a thumbs up. If it didn't, then give it a thumbs down. And that is going to be it for episode 2. So once again, thank you for watching. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye, guys.